Right, time to do some farkling. I have become brave enough to take my GS apart, screw by screw, to fit the Innov K3, which you saw my stupid, crazy unboxing video, which I did very recently on the channel. So I am going to fit the rear camera just underneath this skivvy mount, because I think that's probably the best place for it. It's going to give me a field of view. I know that some people, including Steve Abel, have fitted it into the reflector, but I think that that gets a bit of a shadow at night time by the number plate light, so I'm not going to do that. And then the front camera I am going to fit onto my headlamp mount, because I think that's probably the best thing to do. And then I'm going to put all the wires underneath here or across the panel, so I'm going to remove some panels and see how we go. So watching, here's the time lapse. 1, 2, 3, go!
Well, here we go then. At the time of pushing this out, it's getting to the end of 2021, and yeah, big trips planned for next year. But I've had this one in the can for quite some time, so I just thought I'd share it. So hence the reason why it looks like it's the middle of summer. Anyway, I thought it'd be a good idea to put a K3 on this particular bike, and you'll have seen some stupid unboxing of that some time ago, so apologies for that. Literally, all you have to do is take the seats off and take the racks off. It's really, really easy. There's about 4 bolts for that big plastic lump, and I've obviously doing that really quick. So those 4 bolts that you take off then expose all the back end, and then from there it's pretty simple. I did have a couple of problems when I was taking this to bits, and I needed to share that with you. I have a givvy mount, so if any of you got one of the givvy mounts for the tank bags, just take a look at that, because the screws that were going through that decided to get themselves nice and rusty and didn't particularly want to come out, and they just rounded off, so they're not made of the best material in the world. Or the wife just come out quickly just to see that I'm not wrecking her bike. The other bit that I wanted to point out to everybody is, once I'd got all my little ancillary bits and pieces off so that I could pull it apart and get that tank mounting off, which, as I said, I really struggled with. I had to get some real hefty toys out for that, some Dremels and all sorts of stuff, as you can see coming out now, so I'm not ripping my bike or turning it to bits. But once I got that out, the bit that confused me, and luckily I'd done it on another guy's bike, is the panel that's in the middle that goes over the tank, by the way, and the GS is plastic, if you didn't know. There is just a panel that goes over that, and all you have to do is undo all of the bolts and then just particularly rip it off. Not rip it off, because I don't necessarily mean that that's what you're going to do, but you just do pull it, which I'm going to do in a few seconds time, and it's just a little bit of brute force and quite a lot of ignorance, really, to be fair, and I've got lots of ignorance, so yeah, proper engineering skills, I have to say, that I had to do here. So once you remove the screws, panel comes off, literally just pull, and it does, and then the rest of it is fairly simple, really. You just follow by undoing the screws. Just make sure, I mean, you could do one or two things, really. I always find that when I do this, if you're going to be doing it and not putting it back together on the same day, it's a really good idea to get out a piece of cardboard or something. I mean, I don't know, maybe you guys do something a little bit different. If you do, comments down below. Educate me and educate other people. That's always a good thing to have. But literally, I take the screws out, put it in a piece of cardboard, and then pretty much draw where it came from, and then I know I'm going to get the screws right. On this particular bike, the screws where you take them out, some have got like a collar on them, some haven't, and there is one screw which is a different size, and that is the one that is up by the handlebars that keeps the top part of that panel that I pulled off. It's slightly longer, and yes, I dropped it and lost it, so I had to buy a new one. There's my son, who's coming out and taking the mickey, as he always does. He always says, doesn't matter what you do, Dad, you always find the long way around and break things. And yes, I do. But there we go. Skylift, I have to say, is absolutely fantastic. If you guys do have various different motorcycles, I mean, check them out. They are pretty good for picking your bike up. It doesn't fit all bikes, obviously, but anything with a kind of like a swing arm or a centre, you can then pick it up and lift the front end up, or lift the back end up, or lift it up parallel as well, which is pretty good. So grab one of those if you can afford it. Obviously, I know that everybody can't, so you have to be old like me. So yeah, no, ripping it apart was reasonably fairly easy. I have to say the GS comes apart a heck of a lot better, or a heck of a lot easier than I thought. And the bit that I was really worried about, I suppose, was taking the tank off, the plastic tank. But literally, when you undo all the bolts and then just pull it forward, There's a couple of electrical connections, and all you do is just squeeze and then take out the fuel connection. It's it's just kind of like snap shut, so simple. Obviously you have to take out the fuel weather, the fuel thingy bit that goes in the top, you know, where you stick the fuel, which is what I'm doing at the moment. Look, I've got tools and everything. So you know, it's good fun and it's quite easy to do, and I made sure that nothing was going to get into that fuel tank by sticking a plastic bag in it with a rag in it and then sticking it all down, which is the right thing to do. So anyway, yeah, maybe you guys want to have a go at it. Don't be afraid. And the K3 was fitted, so this is me coming back and talking to you again.
So the bike's all stripped down, and if I'm honest, I followed Steve Abel's video online, screw by screw. I have to say some of my screws weren't exactly the same as his, but there we are. So started by removing that rear panel, which sits over there, which is the rear grab rail, and then underneath the plastic tray that actually fits on here exposes all of this. Obviously you need to take the seats off to do that. The easiest thing by far, I thought, was actually taking the tank off, which I was dreading a little bit, but I managed to remove all of the screws from here, lifted it out of the tank, and then stuck a plastic bag in the tank with a rag, and then sealed it over. I've got some of this sticky stuff that they use for putting on car windows when car windows are broken. So I did that. The panels are pretty easy, to be honest. There's not many screws that are holding these things on. The front panel comes off with just 3 underneath and 2 down the sides, and I'll put it all back together again at some point, but I thought I'd probably take the opportunity to give it a really good clean underneath and a bit of a wash over to and then ACF 50 it. So we'll see how that goes, but yeah, fairly easy, fairly straightforward really to take it to bits. I suppose the problem comes when you're putting it back together again. Did have one problem, because I had the Givy mount on there for the tank bag, and one of the bolts inside the captures, which sits in top of the tank, which I can't show you now because I've got the plastic bag on there, as you can see, was corroded. So I'm going to make sure that when I put stuff in there, when I put the screws back in there, and I've found some new ones, that I'll give them a good greasing up to sort them out. But very easy, very straightforward. Battery compartment, and now it's time to put on the K3. And I've exposed all the wires I need to be able to do it. Excellent.